Just recently, I was told that my PC has a bottleneck that should probably be fixed. That person basically said that my CPU was not powerful enough for my GPU to work at its full ability. So I took a look at my existing videos using the Ryzen 5 3500X and RX 6600 combo, and to my surprise, every single video shows that my CPU is indeed bottlenecking my GPU. Now, I'm not the type of PC enthusiast to be very picky about things like this. I just started having a PC that didn't have a horrible bottleneck. Before this system, I was running my 3500X with a RX 580, which is probably better suited, but before that, I was using a i7 870 with a RX 580. So I've never really been crazy about bottlenecks. Now, just recently, I did a lot of research trying to better learn how to visually see and fix a system bottleneck, and after about 2 weeks and some actual testing with my new Ryzen 5 5500, I can now show you guys how to find a system bottleneck. So let's get into it. Now, to start, I do want to clarify that I'm not a computer scientist. I may say a handful of somewhat incorrect things, and I'm sure you guys will correct me. I just want you guys to know that I'm learning and I'm purely speaking from personal experience. Now, the question of this video is, what exactly is a system bottleneck? Well, in most cases, your system's bottlenecks will be between your CPU and GPU. In a normal situation, almost every PC has a CPU or GPU bottleneck, whether it's minor or severe. A CPU bottleneck is simply when your processor is not powerful enough to process information sent from your GPU fast enough for it to be used. When roles are reversed, a GPU bottleneck is when your CPU simply does not have to work at its full ability because your GPU is sending information so slow that your processor can basically chill. Now, a GPU bottleneck really isn't much of an issue. Where the issue comes in is a CPU bottleneck. The reason for this is because, as the name implies, your CPU is the central processing unit, meaning that everything goes at the pace of the CPU. If your CPU is slow, your GPU is slow, and your OS will also feel slow. And that means that in CPU intensive games, which in 2025 are starting to increase, if a game wants to use a lot of your CPU for processing the game, if your CPU is not fast enough, it doesn't matter if you got the brand new 5090, your 5090 will perform poorly and your CPU will be the culprit. Now, in my situation, I had a Ryzen 5 3500X paired with a RX 6600, and this combo worked so well for me that I didn't even bother paying attention to bottlenecking. It took for a viewer to mention it for me to care about it. I did some research and I found that a Ryzen 5 5500 was a really good price and would solve my bottlenecking issues mostly. Now, in a few minutes, you will see actual gameplay footage of me testing this theory, and it definitely worked. Now, back to the Ryzen 5 5500, I managed to get it for a relatively cheap price of around $55 on AliExpress. And yes, AliExpress is actually a decent place to buy PC components from as long as you don't fall for obviously sketchy listings. Now, to start, I tried Cyberpunk 2077, which is a game I tested before with my Ryzen 5 3500X, and using the Ryzen 5 5500, I got about a 20 to 40 FPS increase, and if you look at the CPU usage, it isn't being maxed out at 99%, so it's clear that in a game like Cyberpunk, this new CPU is an actual upgrade and definitely fixed the bottleneck. Again, in a game I've tested before, Avowed was the game that the viewer mentioned the CPU bottleneck on, and after testing with the Ryzen 5 5500, there is definitely a 5 to 10 FPS increase, and I find myself hovering around 60 a lot more often. This game is still not optimized the greatest, so while moving the camera a lot, the FPS will drop, but while the camera is steady, you get more FPS, and looking at the usages, you can also see the improvement. Last but not least, I tested Fortnite, which turned out to be the most impressive one. As we all know, Fortnite is known for its stutter on PC. With my FPS locked to 180 and recording, the game had an actual flat frame graph, meaning that the game was not stuttering at all. And by looking at the usages, you can see that the CPU is not locked out either. So this indeed worked. So with all of this, it's obvious that a single generation upgrade can completely fix bottlenecking issues you may have, and using AliExpress, you can get a CPU for cheap also. So thanks for watching this video. I will definitely be making some benchmarks using the CPU in the future, but if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.